Hi, it's Denise. Welcome to How to Build a Food Styling Kit. Now, let me tell you, in our book, The Food Stylist Handbook, we have pages on the food styling kit because Cindy, when you write a book and you have deadlines, I can't even tell you that when you first get the order for the book, it feels like you've got years to work on. And then those last few weeks, you're crazed trying to get it all done. So Cindy went home when we needed the pages on building a kit. Cindy went home and actually photographed her own kit. So, and it's one of my favorite parts of the book. So instead of there being a new jar of kitchen bouquet or a new jar or something, they're like half-used jars, exactly the way it would be in a food stylist kit. So if you have any questions about food styling, a food styling kit, I can tell you that the pages in our book are pretty extensive. They're great. But here's how it happens. If you've been a chef or a home economist, you already probably own a couple of great knives, okay? Because you can't work in the kitchen with a bad knife. You need a good knife. You need a knife the weighted, good for your hand. I like an 8 to 10 inch chef knife. I never was comfortable with a 12 or 14, just too big for me. I'm short, didn't need it. But I have many good knives. Why? Because different knives have different jobs. But to start with, you need to have a decent knife. Now, whatever you do, you need to have a steel with you all times. If you're styling at home, or if you're styling, especially on a location, you're gonna need to know how to sharpen your knife. Once or twice a year, I gather up all the knives that I use in my kitchen and in my kit, and I either take them to the farmer's market because there's a knife sharpening guy there, or there's a knife sharpening shop here in Ventura. In LA, Cindy used to take our knives to Gelson's. They were fantastic and they would sharpen our knives. So the most important thing is if you don't have a decent knife, you cannot slice a tomato, and they make tomato knives. You cannot get a clean cut on anything without a good knife. So that's probably the most important thing to your very first part of being a food stylist. Now, the second tool to me, and we have a list in the book, and Cindy wrote it, and it's excellent. It's a little more sophisticated because Cindy was a graphic designer before she became a food stylist, so she knows things like X-Acto knives and stuff like that. But I would say tweezers are the next important thing you need in a food styling kit. Now, I started a few years ago carrying these little plastic, they all have lids, little plastic boxes, and I have all my tweezers in them. And I have all these funny little dental tools that we got when a young woman that worked for us, her mother was a dental assistant and she gave us these nifty tools. They do all these little, not only can you clean your own teeth, but you can pick on things that you need to pick up. So I keep all sorts of little things that might get lost, baby spoons, because sometimes all you need is that much to sauce a plate. Little box for little tools, but I'm going to tell you something. Tweezers, you will also find out that there are tweezers that you love and tweezers that you don't love. So you want to have different types. I always carry a short pair of tweezers in case we're so tight in the set that I only have that much room, okay? The next thing you're going to need, you need to have scissors, okay? You're going to need knife, tweezers, and you need several pairs of scissors. What I was just talking about, these are scissors I found that you can get all the way inside something if the set is got a big old circle of lights around it. I can get these long scissors if I need to cut something off. So, what's next? Paint brushes. You are going to need paint brushes. Now I would say about 100 paint brushes, but sometimes when I go to the 99-cent store or I'm in the hobby store and they have like 10 paint brushes for $5, I buy them because they come in graduated sizes and you're going to need every different size. These are for saucing, painting, cleaning, brushing things away. You're gonna need every size of paintbrush. Another thing you're going to need every size of a whisk, okay? Now the reason we use smaller sizes is, can you imagine trying to carry big commercial kitchen size equipment with you? As it is, look at, this is not my whole kit, okay? Cindy and I and Patty have gone to studios. When we unloaded our kits, the photographer literally said to us, how long are you girls staying? Because it looks like we're moving in. We're talking bags of equipment. Now, do you need all of it all the time? No, but you're gonna need a lot of it a lot of the time. So I always kept mine in the trunk of my car. I know Cindy did too. I think Patty does too. But Patty made a great suggestion at lunch today when we were talking about this. She said, I've made some of my kits. She has made herself one kit that's just for drinks. So then it's all in one spot. So if you're only doing drinks that day, then you wouldn't bother to bring in all your pastry cutters. You understand, it's a drift. You understand what I'm trying to say. Now listen. This is a small kit, okay? And it's by Husky. And this was, I had two more big ones like this, and the big ones got so heavy you could hardly lift them. And then we moved on to smaller ones because they were heavy. But Husky, a real tool kit like this, it does, the knives don't cut it. It holds has lots of pockets for small things. They can be real helpful. For years, when I first started styling, I carried a fishing tackle box that was this big, okay? It went out for layers. Now, in reality, it wasn't that easy to find stuff. So when Cindy was the one that came in one day with these, and we moved to Huskies. Now, what's the next thing that you must have? I don't care what you're styling, you need a heat gun. Now, I'm gonna turn it on for a minute. Twice, 4 times as powerful as a hair dryer. This is how you melt. Ow, ow, that's how hot it is already. And what's really hot that you forget is this. So when you're working, second degree burn. Now, this is a Wagner brand. There's several out there. The reason I picked this one is that I've probably lost, I don't know, 5 or 10 of these over my career, because you plug it in, then you leave it, then you go to another studio, then that one, you call the studio manager, the photographer, no, they haven't seen your heat gun. Sometimes you have to wait till you go back to the studio, and then you'd say, that's my heat gun, and they'd say, oh, is it? Okay, and you'd get it back. But I picked this heat gun because it was bright yellow, and it made it easier for me when I was scanning a kitchen or a studio to see it, okay? If it's black, it hides. Now, and I do have to tell this one story. We had a photographer call us. We shared a studio a lot. I mean, not shared, but we worked with another stylist. She's no longer in the business. She was mean. I mean, the meanest stylist I've ever known. Cat shit mean, as I say. Well, they called us up one day. She wouldn't get on the phone. She made the photographer do it. She said, someone stole my heat gun. And I said, how dare you? And Cindy and I looked, I said, don't be ridiculous. And it went on and on. About a week later, Cindy came in, she said, I stole her heat gun. We returned it. We apologized. We groveled. She didn't mean to. At the end of, and some of you know this, and some of you are going to find this out, you have been working 8, 10, 12, 14 hours in a day. You have to pack all of this up, hopefully cleaned. At least you've got clean most of it so it's not smelly in your car. You make mistakes, okay? Because you're tired. That's all I can say to people. Sometimes one of the ways I will say that is this. I have friends that are great stylists that say, I can't do more than 8 shots in a day because my brain gets fried and I'm tired. So, and the quality of your shot goes down. Okay. Now, I think we're on 5. We'll make this 6. Torch top. You gotta have a torch top. This is a Chef Mate, I think. Anyway, this is butane fuel. You buy this at Smart & Final. You buy it at Target. The Chef Mate makes one of these. Cindy has a different one that's got a name that escapes me. You can go online and look for them. This costs about $40. They last for a very long time. And it's so much easier, Okay, in the olden days, we actually carried gas canisters, and you lit this thing, and oh God, and then you'd get to a chute, and gas is air, and it doesn't weigh much, so then you thought you had gas still in the canister, but there wasn't any gas. It was a mess. So these are really important. What do I use my torch for? To brown things, if I need to control it and not put it in an oven. Both of these things all of a sudden give me heat, okay? So if I'm out of the kitchen and in the set, and I need things to look, bubbles to bubble on something, to create a pizza to make it look hot, I can swing either of these over something and it looks like it's still hot. And there was a famous story of Cindy going to ABC one day. We were working on they were working on a pilot. Patty, I don't think you were at that one where there was they told us there was an oven, but it wasn't. And it was pizza. And they cooked everything with the torch and the That's a fun day, if you get my drift. They told us there was an oven and the talent was making pizza, but they were big fat liars. There was no oven. Okay, now here's something. Again, this is a barbecue starter. You put it under the coals. These only cost about 10 bucks. This is a small one. They make them bigger, whatever you want. I like the small because I can carry it in a bag and it's not quite so huge. What this is really great for is your grill marks, okay? So hot, 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 hot. Now, you can take, when you're making grill marks, it's best to look at your, piece of chicken or steak. Take your knife or take a pair of scissors and make some little marks so that they're even. There are people that would take out a ruler and do that. I don't do it. I always just eyeball it, okay? And if I make a mistake, I put a mushroom on the steak and then nobody knows. But you then, after you've done that, even if they've been on a real grill, like a George Foreman grill, those grill marks may not be what your producer is looking for. They're looking for really heavy duty. So that's what you use this for. And you embellish the grill marks. Once you have this, you never go back. If you use a grill pan, which we use a lot, a cast iron grill pan, that does a really nice job. But if they're not perfect, again, you can make them perfect with this. Now, I'm going to show you something that's just a mean tease, but you have to go on the internet, and if you're in Europe or you're in Asia. This is a paint stripper, okay? Cindy found these on the internet, and his name is Roberto because he's Italian. But just imagine, I plug it in, hot, 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 so dangerous. This probably does not qualify for an OSHA, under the OSHA program here in keeping your employees safe. But this is actually a European paint stripper, okay, or wallpaper stripper. So you put it up there and you can strip the stuff off. This is, I can't even tell you how effective this is. For keeping things hot, for making it steam. Also, press some water, use this, you get gorgeous steam. Now the problem is, they're hard to find. You have to go on the internet, okay? And look under. This is probably the most valuable thing in my kit. And I want you to know something. Roberto may go in the box with me when I die. I think it's that important. You may have to pry my hand off Roberto because he's magical. And there'll be somewhere in the video that we use Roberto so people will understand why I'm so obsessed with him. So I'm probably up to about 8. But here's what else always have to have in your kit. Kitchen bouquet. You always have to have paprika, okay? Because if you've got something that has no color to it, you can make a paprika paste, okay? You can mix these together. Ooh, it's magic. It's sad, isn't it? I should have had a life, but instead I learned these tricks. You mix this together and you get this black paste, and you can use it in holes in a roast or holes in a meat, hamburger, whatever. Fabulous. So these, now a lot of the stuff I'm talking about here, let's just stop for a minute. These Paper plates. You want to travel with paper plates so you're not washing so many dishes at the end of the day. Also, you don't want to confuse kitchen prep with set stuff. So you don't use the props that you have for prep. You use paper plates. This, not the top, but the butane, Pam, Caro syrup. These can all be on a receipt that your client pays for, okay? So I will say to the client, we're gonna have to buy 6 packs of pasta and a couple of heads of lettuce and a pound of bacon or whatever to make the dish. Fine, Denise, that's fine. And I said, and then I will also buy some kit supplies, paper towels, the things I just mentioned, fruit fresh, okay, for keeping your lettuce fresh, wet ones, dulling spray, okay? So you're going to buy things like that on your client's dime, and they will reimburse you, because sometimes you'll get to a show that you haven't shopped for them and you're going to need some of these items and you're going to use them because you get a better product and because you have to. So you're using your own product. So it's kind of the Robin Hood theory. You steal from the rich to give to the poor. Now, what else? Roll of paper towels. You can never go to a shoot without 4 or 5 rolls of paper towels. Okay, you can't, because you're going to need them. Glycerin. Glycerin makes things stick and gives it color. It makes it glisten, and it helps form water droplets. If you put glycerin in a spray bottle and spritz that on a tomato, it will form a water droplet that will hold on the tomato. This is Scotch Guard. Scotch Guard is what you spray on the top pancake, okay? Spray on my pancake. And then when you have to do a pan pour with syrup, it will repel the syrup, meaning that the syrup will not soak into the top pancake as fast, okay? Now, why is this important? You can take the top, if you have to do it 4 or 5 times, everything's 4 or 5 times, you throw the first pancake away, you take the stack that's underneath it, you put it on a clean, identical plate, you're ready to roll again, okay? Now, this is, adhesive, multi-purpose adhesive. This comes in handy for, you just need to glue a label on a bottle or re-glue a label on a bottle, and this is the easiest stuff in the world to use. A lot of these things are now at the grocery store, so you're only making one stop. You're not going to an art store too. Windex, this is just a small bottle of Windex. I break it down, so I always have Windex. This one, cleaning duster with the straw. You want this to blow dust off. If you've got something that's flaking onto your plate, I've also used it for, and this was the most important, I was doing an ice cream shoot. It was a packaging, and it was about 118 degrees in Monrovia. And when we took the ice cream out of the freezer and it hit the hot air, it became immediately frosty, frostier than you've ever seen. They weren't melting, they were frosting, the cold to the heat. So I could put them in place. I had to they were little bonbons. I had to glue them down to the plate. And then I took this and I could clean off the frost, okay? There's a million ways to use this. It's excellent in drinks. You'll see, we'll do a drink video, but you wanna have canned air. And if you don't have Cool Whip, and if someone asks for one drink all of a sudden, and you needed a cappuccino or you needed a coffee with something on it, you use shaving cream. Shaving cream will also work. You can use this for berries and cream. It won't last as long as Cool Whip or Pastry Pride, but I like to keep it in my pack just in case someone says, oh, could we have a cappuccino in the background? Okay. Sometimes the reason you have to carry so much stuff, it's not just the food you're working on. We call it collateral food. You're making a beautiful plate of pasta, and then the client says to you, oh, we've got French bread, oh, we've got red wine, oh, we've got heads of garlic. So if you haven't talked to your client about that before you go shopping, you may not have anyone to go to the store when you're shooting, and that's a problem. So that's why pre-pros are important. But if it's something like, can I make a cappuccino? Do you have some, do you have some different colored salts? If you can carry some of that stuff with you, then you have it when the client asks for it at the last minute. You want to have an assortment of plastic bottles for saucing or things to control. You want to always have Caro syrup because it can thicken things and it thins things. I don't understand it, but Caro syrup is totally important. You also need to have your Caro syrup in a plastic bag because they went to plastic bottles, and if you keep it in the trunk of your car, it will expand, and then you will have Caro syrup everywhere, okay? So this should always be in a plastic bag before you put it in the trunk of your car. Now, what else? Every kind of Q-tip that they make. Here's something else that's fun. Fake ice cubes, again. Now, how do you get fake ice cubes? Do you have to buy them? Not necessarily. If someone asks you for drinks, then you say, I'll have to get some fake ice cubes. And they say, okay, and then you tell them how much they cost, and you buy them. These are absolutely filthy. I obviously haven't used these for a while. That's what happens when you quit. That's what happens when you retire. These are filthy, but these are pretty good in the glass. These were about, I think these were about $20 for 12. You can go on Amazon, they have cheap ones. You can go to, look under special effects. I shot for Seagram's Liquor a million years ago. They bought me $50 a piece ice cubes. I had a dozen, so that was $600. That was so much money. And they came in a black velvet lined, like little coffin. And after I washed them by hand, I had to keep them in their velvet case so that nothing could happen to them. But they look like real to the camera. And if you, once you've used some fake ice, you can see it in drink. You see when it's fake ice all the time in commercials. Now, this is cheap fake ice, and this I think Cindy might have bought off Amazon. These are little pieces of ice. These are cheap. But you know what? In a pinch, they work. So that's that. And then another hairspray. If you're doing something like cereal, you take your cereal, you pick through it, or even potato chips on sheet pans, and then you spray it with hairspray, and you don't get the dust all over everything that you're working with. And just about, here is another thing. I have collapsible bowls. So they're plastic, and I got them at Bed Bath & Beyond, different sizes. So if you have to soak your greens in the fruit fresh, or you need to mix something up, they're not so heavy to carry. Again, there are times that you will end up carrying your own pots and pans to a shoot. And so then when you put $500 worth of groceries, this entire kit, pots and pans, you've got a lot of lugging, a lot of schlepping, a lot of preparing, a lot of putting away. So I just mentioned that to you. So when people ask you to shoot and they don't want to give you a prep day, the way to control that is either one, charge them a kit fee, okay? Now, I never charged people a kit fee. I could have, but I'll tell you why I didn't. It's all about sales. So when people say to me out of New York, how much is your kit fee? Because everybody in New York gets a kit fee. The kit fee could be $300, $400, $500. Now remember, the client's going to pay for the ingredients you use, but they're giving you a kit fee. So if you have to do some prep for your client and they aren't willing to give you an hour or two of prep, then you can cover your costs with that kit fee. I learned early on in my career that if you want to do 6, 8, 10 shots in a day, somebody has got to go to the grocery store the day before, shop, prep, and organize the shoot. Okay, now it didn't have to be me, meaning it could be an assistant that I sent, or somebody that volunteered to do it because they want to learn to be a food stylist. Sure. Now, I never allowed really volunteers. I would pay somebody 10 or 15 bucks an hour because I think you get what you pay for. And if the person's not getting paid, they also sometimes don't show up. That's a whole nother story. So anyway, I share with you this. Once you've accumulated all this equipment, is it worth something to you? Sure it is, okay? I always had a policy. I still do, and it's easy. I had my kit insured in my car because it was always in my car, and it just went on my car insurance. When I explained to my insurance man what he was, he said, oh sure, so we need to insure that for $1,000 or $2,000. I said, absolutely. Got knives cost $50 a piece, $100 a piece. What do you carry? So I just share that with you. But your kit is very valuable to you. And the longer you learn this business and the more you find out what tools are helpful to you, the more valuable they are. Okay. So that's pretty much what I wanted to tell you about kits. I'll say this. When you know that you're going to style ice cream, real or fake, you got to buy 6 or 8 scoops before you go to the shoot, okay? And they cost $8 a piece. That's $64 if you buy 8. You have to tell your client up front, I'm going to have to buy 6 or 8 ice cream scoops. And they're going to say, oh, I think I have one at home. Wrong. Because theirs is probably broken also, or it's the cheapest one that they bought at the grocery store. You have to go and get good ice cream scoops, because you know what? When you're scooping all day or 100 scoops, they break, okay? So you will teach, if they want really good grill marks and you don't know a cast iron skillet, that's the time to say to your client, oh, the best grill marks are a cast iron skillet. I don't have one, but I'll be glad to buy one, okay? Last week, the girls did a satellite media tour. The whole book was based on the Instapot, okay? She wasn't selling Instapot. She's selling her recipes. But right in the minute Patty saw the book, she said, I don't have an Instapot. I said, neither do I. I gave mine away. Cindy doesn't have an Instapot. But the thing was, I told the client immediately, I said, none of us have Instapots. We'll have to buy one. She said, that's okay. Okay? So Patty ordered it, got delivered. So I'm just saying this. If you keep your client in the loop and you become a partnership in making success in your shoots, they are much more apt to help you, okay? So lots of times you buy something, then the client doesn't want it back, and then of course that's how your prop, that's a whole nother story, but that's how you get props and so much kitchen equipment you can't stand it, okay? Because your client pays for it. Okay, have I done it, girls? Is there anything else I should add? We talked about kit fees. You have to just really be prepared. That's what I'm trying to say. Any questions, Miss Cindy? Sometimes Cindy tries to test me.
I just have one thing about the putting glycerin in the bottle.
Yes.
I just wanted to mention that you dilute it in quite a bit of water.
Oh, yes, I beg your pardon.
Just
only a teeny drop of this to a good spray bottle. Cindy's absolutely right. And you know when you know you've put too much in there? You can't get it out of the spray bottle. Now, let me tell you, all of this stuff you will learn. And I was saying this at lunch, so I might just repeat this. If you are busy, if you're working 6-10 times a month, you're doing different products. It's a flow. Let's say you only do a cake. You only bake a cake once a year. Well, if you've only frosted a cake once a year and stuff, you may forget some of the tricks you learned from the day that if you start out with 1 cake and at the end of the day you've done 10 cakes, trust me, your skill level has gone way up. So sometimes with the email I printed out that I've sent my client, discussing is there a kit fee, my day rate, what I'm going to shop for at the grocery stores, what they have to pay for, what else I'm going to buy, why this receipt's going to cost that much. When I have that all approved, I print it out and keep it because that's my contract with the client. Then I have a folder, and if there's a call sheet or a comparables or anything else that the client has given me, or a copy of what the packaging is going to look like that we finished, it all goes in that folder. So I just share that with you. I know not everyone still wants to have paper, but you could scan it and put it in your computer. The girls make fun of me because I always say, give me the paper, give me the papers from the photo. Cindy's choking over there. It's not funny. Where are the papers? I need those papers. But here's why. If you've forgotten, you know what? I go into my folder and I look in the notes I made to myself about some shoot, and guess what? I say to Cindy, you know what else we needed for that shoot? And last time we almost forgot. So I'm just telling you, there's a lot to remember, but being prepared makes everything. Oh, I'm getting a note from the producer. Shut up. You're boring the crap out of me? Is that right? I don't think so. Oh, no, that's not what it says. Okay, these are, yes, the essentials. Swabs. Q-tip swabs. I buy these funny ones because I just love the way they look. At the 99-cent stores, you can buy the long ones. You can buy Q-tips, the brand. Yes, and these are also things you buy at the grocery store that your client pays for. Thank you, Miss Cindy. Cotton balls. Cotton balls. What else you use cotton balls? Cleaning and sometimes to stuff stuff. When we get to eggs, we'll show you. You make an omelet and the omelet's going to sink. Oh, you put cotton balls in there and it looks beautiful. And see, why wouldn't I just use the vegetables? Because the vegetables, the water is going to come out and make a mess on my plate. But the cotton swab is going to clean up anything on the omelet, so it's not going to leak. Cotton balls, use them for anything. Cosmetic sponges. Not only will you find out that you'll need these for your own face. These are wedges. They give you height. You clean the edge of the plate. I mean, cotton sponges. Now, one more personal story, and then I'll leave. I used to make the girls wash these out, okay, because I'm trying to recycle. I don't like to destroy any more of the planet that we already have. And I would save all the dirty ones and I'd wash them and use them again. And a young man that worked for this, every Christmas when we go out to a little Christmas dinner, he would give me a new 99-cent package of cosmetic sponges. Because I don't want to wash the sponges. Never mind. And then toothpicks. Toothpicks are your friends. You need toothpicks for everything. How to keep things in, toothpicks, and also bamboo skewers. If you are doing something that's very tall, a hamburger that has lots of levels, you're going to stick a bamboo skewer in there so that nothing goes anywhere, if that makes sense. And I believe the producer is showing me another post-it. This is supposed to be quick. Is this quick? I don't think this is quick. Is it time for my glass of wine? Spray bottles and sieves. You can't, yes, I started to say it about sieves, and then I got off on some sort of rant. We have every kind of size. You want cheesecloth in your kit too, so that you can get a fine something. Every size of this you will use. And and the other thing is, some of the bigger ones, if you don't want to carry a sifter with you, but you need a sifter, you can use it as a sifter. Sieve and sifter. And spray bottles, of which, what do I have here to show you? These cost 99 cents from the pharmacy. I buy a dozen at a time, okay? And because they quit. It's funny, you pay 99 cents for something, after a couple of years, they just break. Just no quality control. I also, because I use Mario Badescu skincare, I'm getting nothing for this. I just mentioned their name because the label's still on it. They send these everything comes in these are much more expensive spritzers. So I save them, wash them, and fill them. This is a small one, so if I was working a little tiny space, fine, very fine. There's every kind, you need every single kind. And sometimes when Evian water has their super fine mist, like for Palm Springs, you see it. It's not in the stores all the time. Cindy would buy Evian water because it's so fine, and then we would be so very fancy, and people would be so impressed with us for about 2 minutes. Okay, now don't you pass me more. No more. Anyway, she was absolutely correct, of course. I think, again, if you have our book, really covered in the book, so if you're watching several of the videos, the thing to do is, when I pick up a tool, I sometimes mention it and sometimes I don't. Check out why I'm using that tool, because chances are it's got a job that it does really well. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you all for watching. If you have any complaints, I want you to send them to the producer. And what? Yes, her name is Cindy Flanagan. Right to Cindy. Okay, thank you so much and goodbye.